Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Ahmed Abrar Maula Qureshi, and today is the first lecture of AS and A-Level Economics International. Now, first of all, you need to know what is economics. There are almost as many definitions of economics as there are economists. Although a definition of the subject is to be expected, we need to have some few examples to consider, to apply to some issues, and to consider some problems faced by the government. So the government have many problems. For example, it has to decide how the roads should be made, what infrastructure could be developed, how the tourism should be encouraged to grow. The finance ministers, for example, prepare an annual budget for the government. They look into the issues of taxation and expenditure. They may see how to keep the rate of change of prices, that is inflation, under control. They may see how to increase total demand in the economy to increase the number of jobs that are available. So these are important issues that we have to consider in economics. Now, for a short definition, economics is a study of how scarce resources are or should be allocated. Now, scarce means which are limited, and so we come on and come ahead, and then we can develop the definition by saying that economics is a social science. More specifically, it is a study of how society provides for itself by making the most efficient use of scarce resources, so that both private and the social welfare may be improved. Now, there are two kinds of statements in economics. There are positive statements and normative statements. The positive statements are factually and usually acceptable to all economists, that is, they are based on facts. For example, the rate of inflation in Egypt in 2013 was 2%. It can be verified through facts. And there are other statements which are known as normative statements. For example, the government should cut food fuel tax to reduce the rate of inflation. Now, this statement involves value judgments, cannot be verified against facts. Moreover, if you see at figure number 1, we can see in simple terms how economists think and how they seek to explain real problems and issues faced by human beings. That is the problem statement of a particular economic problem or issue, analysis, application of concepts and techniques of economics. Then we have outcome, the result of the economic analysis, and then we have the evaluation and appraisal of the extent to which the outcome is acceptable for any individual or any group. Now we come ahead. The economists have their own toolkit. That is, the toolkit term describes that the skills and techniques which are available for economic analysis, that is to analyze the problems. Now, the skills are related to the ability to interpret and use the data, and then we have the skills with the ability to write in a clear and effective way. Now, the data skills available, the economists have there are 5 main data skills. Number 1, the ability to pick out the main features in a data set. Then you need to know how to calculate a simple average, and then you need to know the knowledge of trends and the rate of change in a set of time series data. Then we have number 4, working knowledge of index numbers. Number 5, how to interpret economic information produced in visual form. Now, it is important that the economic data, we know that how many types of economic data there are. So there are 2 main types of economic data. Number 1 is time series data, the other is the cross-sectional data. In the time series data, the same information is recorded over a period of time, for example, a period of years or months. In the cross-sectional data, we imagine the type of data in terms of a snapshot, that is a picture taken at a given time. Then these 2 types can be recognized by discrete data or by continuous data. That is, the discrete data is the data in which, in simplest term, you know the values of something. For example, in whole numbers, number of people, number of cars. But you cannot say 2.6 cars or 2.5 cars. Then we have continuous data in which the values are measured in a precise way. For example, income, inflation, economic growth. For example, inflation can be 2%. Now, when you study economics, you are faced with the question, is the data shown a time series or a cross-sectional data? And then you need to know, are the values of the data discrete or continuous? Okay. Apart from that, you also need to know the forecasting, then how things are forecasted in economics. Then you have to consider for three, four further matters. For example, in examination, we have to consider the title and source of the data, the estimates given in the data, and the forecast which I just mentioned. Now we come to data skill number 1. that is how to pick out the main features in a data set. If you look at the table number 1, this gives the average unemployment rate for the 27 countries that were members of the European Union in 2012. Then a skill you need to develop is that eyeballing, that you need to look across the rows and up and down the rows very quickly to know and pick out the main features in the given data. And this is a very useful thing. Now we're looking at table 1, you can quickly see that unemployment rate for UAE members in 2012 was, there is a wide variation in that. Spain had the highest rate at around 25%, whereas unemployment was lowest in Luxembourg at 5.1%. Now we come on to data skill number 2, how to calculate a simple average and know what it means. The average is often used to summarize a particular set of data. Now in case of table 1, it is shown that 10.5% it is what is known as a weighted average. Now the weights are given to the data because the unemployed people in each country, 27 countries, may be different. The weights are necessary since the populations of countries are different. If they are equal, then we can simply have summed up all the population and would have divided by 27. But this is not so. So we attach weights so that we can get an accurate figure or a more justified figure. Then we have data skill 3, how to pick out trends and the date of change in its data set. Now if you look at the table 2, this shows the annual percentage change in consumer prices and foods and drink prices in Pakistan from 2006 to 2011. Now this data set is a time series data. And if you take an overview of the data by looking at how it has changed on a year-to-year basis, then you know that the annual percentage change in consumer prices is positive. The highest rise was in 2009. Food and drink prices were also rising on annual basis, and food and drink prices rose more rapidly than the general prices. So you need to put a plus or minus sign in front of the data as shown in table number 2. Now this gives us a clear picture what is going on, which data is going up and which data is going down. A final word of warning that consumer prices, food and drink prices have increased consistently since 2006, but we cannot say you need to know that inflation has persisted. Before it started to fall in 2007 and 2010, but over here you need to know that only the rate of inflation is falling, not the prices. So when the rate of inflation is going down, it means that the prices are increasing at a slow rate, but still they are rising. So we have data skill number 4, a working knowledge of index numbers. With time series data especially, it is often helpful to show the data in index form. That is, we give it a base year of 100, and then this avoids difficulties mentioned in the rate of change inside time series data. When we construct an index number, we identify a base year, then the next year figure is given and divided by the base year figure multiplied by 100 to give an index to the number. And then if 2008 is taken as base year, then we need to put in the figures of the previous year as well, so that we can get the accurate answer later on. So data skill number 5, come to that, how to interpret economic information produced in a visual form. Now increasingly economic information is produced in a visual form in the media. Now figure 2 contains 2 examples of bar charts. Such representations are particularly effective for mapping out time series data. Now the value of bar charts is that it is possible to see at a glance change in the level and trend. Figure 2.8 shows the annual numbers of tourist arrivals over a 10-year period. Now, so from 2003 to 2012. What is quite clear is that the level of tourist arrivals has increased over the period of time. Now, closer examination shows that there was a fall between 2000 and 2009. Now, figure 2.2b shows that further dimensions they show that 1 year 2012 shows that there have been monthly variations in tourist arrivals. A point not immediately obvious from the annual data alone. Now, figure 3 shows it is an example of a pie chart. The basic principle behind its construction is that the respective shares are shown by the relative sizes of the slices of a pie. The shares are determined by allocating 360 for all. The total overall, each share of each segment is then determined by the following formula. Size of each segment is equal to number in a given segment divided by the overall total and then multiplied by 360 degrees. Now figure 3 shows the country of residence for tourist arrival in Mauritius. Figure 3 also shows the actual percentage in each segment. Now, the newspapers, website, magazines such as Economist increasingly represent economic information, and students need to consult these information so that they get a practice for looking at such data. Now, how and why economists make forecasts? One of the most important tasks of professional economists is to make a forecast, because government needs to know what economic policy should be followed in the future, and the economic growth, what could be the economic growth in the future. Now, types of forecasts can be statistical forecast, and then using models to produce a range of forecasts, and forecast on intuition, as shown as figure 4. Now, forecast of unemployment rate for next year, then forecast unemployment benefits, then forecast of tax revenue, then net service. The forecast of tax revenue, and then we have the forecast of net servicing requirement. Now, in next figure, we see forecasting over a longer period of time. It is even more problematic due to the many uncertainties that are involved, as figure 5 shows, and the figure 5 shows global recession in 2008-2009, and the best figure 5 should be seen providing a very broad indication of what might be the case in 2026. Now, how to write in a clear and effective way, that is very important. Now, for writing clear and effective way, you need to be clear and precise in your writing. Use words you understand, and when using technical terms, be specific. Remember to match your writing to your audience. In most cases, this will be your teacher. Write impersonally. Now, don't use the words I and we. Think carefully about what tense you are writing in. It should be consistent. Take care of sentences and punctuation. Use one idea per paragraph and develop your ideas. Support your arguments with examples. Avoid humor in your writing. Be professional. Do not insult or offend, even if you do not agree with what you might have read. Keep working at your writing. Make it better and better gradually. Now we come on to table number 4, the advanced subsidiary level and the advanced level A features are given over there. Now we can see that there are 2 papers. The weightage is also given of AS level and A levels. The paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 and paper 4. Paper 1 and paper 2 comprise of AS level, that is advanced subsidiary level, and paper 3 and paper 4 comprise of advanced level. Okay, the time duration of paper 1 and paper 3 is similar, that is 1 hour. That is multiple choice questions. But paper 2 and paper 4, the timing is different. Paper 2 it's 1.5 hour time, and paper 4 it is 2 hours and 15 minutes time. Now the weightage is also given, and you can judge the importance of the papers with their weightage. Advanced subsidiary level comprise of 2 papers, and advanced level comprise of 2 papers. The weightage of paper number 4 is the greatest, and it consists of section A and section B. Paper 2 also consists of a section A and section B, and they are similar. The pattern is similar, and you need to practice the papers in order to be good in your writing. That is all for today, and then we meet in the next lecture later on. Assalamu alaikum. Just one more thing I need to add is that we don't use a year before the base year, previous year, not the previous year, the base year used, but the year ahead of the base year used for calculation. That correction I wanted to make. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.